Welcome to the MVP Show. Before we chat with today's guest, here's a quick message from our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. I cover the following key areas to grow your career in Microsoft Business applications: communications, consulting, technology, working with Microsoft or engaging with Microsoft people, the community and how you should engage in the community, personal brand, and developing your career path. If you want to be mentored in the next 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, go to nz365guy.com/mentoring for more information. Now, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Singapore. She's an application analyst. She started her Microsoft journey from SharePoint. She is originally from Manila. She volunteered as a Manila director for Women Who Code, WW Code, a nonprofit dedicated to inspiring women to excel in technology back in 2017. You can check her out on Twitter at Angiela Cerbolles or her blog, which is at angecerbolles.net. Ange, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Did I pronounce your name right? And
yeah.
Do you sometimes go by a longer name?
No, I prefer the shorter one because if I say the long one, people will speak it wrongly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I prefer the Ange or Angie. It's fine.
I love it. Angie, so how long have you been living in Singapore?
I've been living in Singapore since 2017, so almost 3 years, more than 3 years already. Yeah.
Wow. And did you transfer there for work?
Yes. So because I'm not really in Manila, so I live in Visayas. It's in the it's a middle island in the Philippines. And then after I graduated, I moved to Manila to work. And then, after 5 years or so, I moved to Singapore for work as well because I want to work outside of the country.
What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
I would have thought balut would have been right at the top of your list.
No.
Why not?
I don't eat balot.
Why not?
Because it's so creepy. I mean the chicks inside the egg.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, as in when I was in Manila last, my team tried to get me to eat one, and I could not eat it.
Yeah.
I used the excuse. I said, I can't afford to get sick because I'm only here for a short time. But it was freaky looking all right. I did eat lots of other street seafood, though. When one of my friends, Rolando, he took me out and took me to all the street food places and drinking San Miguel and all those great fun things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I feel like I know a bit about Manila, a bit about Makati. But of course, most people do, right, travel into the city for work, but come from all over the Philippines. So why is pizza your favorite food?
Because there's a lot of ingredients in just one dough.
Mm-hmm. I like it. What about, are you pro pineapple on a pizza or are you against pineapple being on a pizza?
I can't comment on that one.
You obviously like pineapple because the people that don't comment are very clear that they wouldn't have pineapple on a pizza, but you've given yourself away. I love it. So do you have family living with you in Singapore or your family back home?
Oh, I'm with my husband.
Mm-hmm. So you both moved? Sorry, was your husband from the Philippines?
From Philippines as well.
Excellent.
Yes.
Nice. And is he in a similar industry to you?
He's in digital digital marketing.
Nice. Well, before lockdown, just a little fun fact here. Before lockdown, the very last city in the world that I visited, which was December before March, lockdown last year, was Singapore.
Oh.
Yeah. and I had a great time because a lot of the community, a lot of folks in the BizApps community all took me out for dinner, and we had an incredible time in Singapore. So it was quite exciting.
Wow, that's cool. Where am I that time?
I don't know. Like, I wasn't organizing it. I don't know. I can't remember who organized that, but yeah, it was fantastic. Down, looking across towards what's it called? The big the ship hotel.
Oh, Marina Bay. Marina Bay sounded. Oh, but the Microsoft Singapore has moved out in that area, so they changed it in somewhere in the center in CBD area. So you can't see the view anymore for Marina Bay Sands.
Yeah. It's a long time. As I didn't on this trip. I wasn't working, so I was there for holiday. But my wife was working. She works at Google, and so she had to do some onboarding at Google there. So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us how you got into technology.
I got into technology because other than I graduated as a computer engineer. So after I graduated, I moved to Manila, and then that's when I thought that what am I going to do after I graduated? Because I don't know what to do after that one. And then I thought that I'll be into the networking side because computer engineering, you have hardware and software. But then I tried, so I want to be in the hardware. That's my first thought. But
wow, interesting.
Yeah, and then I was like, and then because I can't find any work at that time, so I tried to venture out other in the IT side. So that's when I started to apply in the IT, and then as far as I can remember, my previous manager told me if I know about SharePoint, and I was like, I don't know about SharePoint, but then he just accepted me, and then from there I started working on SharePoint, learning everything from blogs, articles, videos, and stuff like that, until I fell in love about Microsoft products, especially in the productivity side, and then that's how my journey started until I evolved.
Yeah. So which companies were you working for in the Philippines before you moved to Singapore?
Before I moved to Singapore, the last company that I work is Resources Philippines. It's a marketing company. Yes, a published like market company. And then from there, I was a SharePoint SME at the time. And then so what I did is I built forms in SharePoint. So I customized the SharePoint forms. And then that's where I started to learn about. That was the time when Power Apps was still in preview, but I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't much pay more attention at that time until when they said that Infopad will be deprecated. So that's when I started to learn about Power Apps, and that's how my journey in Power Platform started back in 2017.
Wow, that is so cool. And then how, what was your transition across to Singapore? How did that come about?
I just looked the job online, and then I just applied at LinkedIn. Yeah, I found a job in LinkedIn, and then I moved, and then I got accepted in one of the company here in Singapore, and then I moved here in Singapore.
I like it. Is it relatively easy to move from the Philippines? Because it's not that long a flight, is it? From the Philippines to Singapore, is it about 3 hours?
Yeah, it's a 3-hour flight. But of course, you need to have a working pass before you're going to work here in Singapore. So yeah.
What did you find the hardest thing about moving to Singapore? Like, was it something you had to get used to? What was the hardest thing?
For me, the hardest thing, I've got culture shock. I got a culture shock because they said Singaporean are shy, something like that. I mean, I'm an introvert, but sometimes I try to connect with people, but sometimes it's difficult to connect. So I think that's the hardest part for me, to connect with people. Yeah.
So interesting. Saying you're an introvert, how have you found COVID? Because you would have to have probably not worked so much in with other people, but worked remotely. How have you found COVID?
It's difficult in a way because you don't have a boundary about work and home at all anymore. So if you're at work, if you're in the office, you get focused only on the work in your office and stuff like that. You engage sometimes with your business user and sometimes not. But if you're at home, you're like, you don't know what time is it already. Is it already time to get out of your working space already, or something like you don't have? So it's kind of like it's stressing you out, burnout already.
And that's interesting because, yeah, I think a lot of employers thought that their staff wouldn't work as much, and the opposite has happened, isn't it? A lot of people are working more and more at home than they ever did in the office.
Yeah.
What was your journey to becoming an MVP? How did that come about for you?
Um, I honestly don't know about the MVP program until one of my friends told me when I was still in Manila about the program. But I didn't focus on that one because I focused in the women who code community in that time, and because I'm still new as a director in the community, so I didn't pay much attention in that moment, and then I realized like what I'm doing in the women who code community is like also sharing what I've learned in my journey, like in the technology and stuff. So, or speaking and doing some speaking engagement. So why not venture on that MVP journey? And then one of the MVPs pushed me to try to speak in some of the Microsoft community events and some of or blog. So it dragged me a long time to do it, like for like how many months or years already. And then I tried to like, okay, I will do it. I will do it. So I tried to, so yeah, so I started blogging, speaking, and then he he recommended me to be an MVP, and then yeah, so
Who was it?
oh, it's Sentamil Salvan, Microsoft MVP here in Singapore. Oh,
What's his MVP category?
dev and office dev and service office dev. Yeah.
Nice. That is so cool. Has things changed for you much since becoming an MVP? Like, what's been the impact on your career?
To be honest, there's no impact in my work because they don't pay much attention about the label. I mean the program MVP. But to me personally, it has been a great impact in a way that other than it's so overwhelming, all the information that I get, like a lot, especially with the technologies that everything in Microsoft. It's for me, it's a big privilege to meet different people, same the same way of thinking, or like you're the same wavelength, and then you get to meet different people with different opinion as well. Like it's a great privilege to be part of this program.
Yeah, totally. There'll be people listening to this that wonder how they can become an MVP. And if they were to ask you for that advice, what advice would you give them?
My advice would be like, to be honest, because I don't know actually what is the requirements to be an MVP, but all I know is that you get to get engaged with the community. You need to be passionate about sharing like blogs, speaking engagement, volunteer. So yeah. That's
So
why
where are some of the ideas that they could volunteer to be involved?
some of the local meetups, there are still local meetups that you could involve in organizing an event or speaking engagements. So you can check out your local meetups or local community meetups, or even in the, because also in Microsoft Humans of IT as well. Because you could get the mentorship there as well in the.
So what involvement have you had with Humans of IT?
I've been one of the mentor of in the Humans of IT, and then also do mentoring, and then do some speaking engagement, sharing some stories. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So what's your future plans, as in between now and the end of the year? Do you have, are you speaking at any other events? What's your plans for your community engagement between now and the end of this year?
Because currently we have this, I'm not sure if this is, if we can share this out, but station that we will, all the Filipino community will have an event in the Philippines. And then, we're going to collaborate and do some local events in the Philippines. And then, other than that, I think Singapore and Malaysia will have an AMS event conference that will be held online. And then this time we will have a education track, so that it will have in the session. So go check this out as well.
I love it. So when's that Philippine event planned for?
Oh, it's gonna be like a whole of the month of August.
The whole of the month. So you're going to have different things happening. Well, that's this month, isn't it? That's this month.
This month, over the weekend.
Nice. I love it. I love it. It's so good to see all these new activities and groups of people getting together and all learning from each other, and of course helping to grow this amazing community.
Yes.
Well, I always like to finish my shows with a few quick fire questions. Are you ready for yours?
Oh, okay. Sure.
Here it is. If you could never work again, how would you spend your time?
Reading.
Reading.
I love
What was the
reading.
last book you read?
Oh, the last book that I read is The Think Again by Adam Grant.
Nice. Very cool. What is the one family tradition you'd like to carry on in the future?
The monthly, because we do the monthly eat out, but we can't eat out right now with the COVID.
And then the last one here, what is something you are certain you'll never experience and why? So what's something you know that you're never going to do, and why is your decision for that?
I can't. Because I saw there's one place in Vietnam that they go inside and the hole below the ground, under the ground, something like that. I really don't want to, because I'm claustrophobic, so I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
So you'll never do that?
Yeah.
I like it. That's a really, really good example. Angie, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really had a great time talking to you.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP, Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you'd like the show and want to be a sponsor of the show, please go to buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Otherwise, stay safe out there as always, and see you next time.